Hi, my name is Sam Led, and welcome to The Fearless Now. This is for you in the nosebleed seats if you're looking for an easier way to approach anxiety, stress, and unhealthy habits from the inside out. There's no techniques and no strategies, so sit back, relax, and let me be your peace of mind Uber driver here on The Fearless Now. Welcome to the Fearless Now podcast. My name is Sam Led. I am a transformational coach, and this is episode number 43. I made it, everybody. We made it together. We are well on our way to getting over 1,000 downloads a month or more. I think I got 2,000 downloads last month. It's really exciting. I'm really excited. And I decided to do this podcast late in the evening, see if my brain is still functioning, if my neural centers are synapsing and sequencing, whatever they're doing. I think I'm a night owl now as I get older. And talking about maturing as a podcaster, getting the hang of this, enjoying this more, trying not to say the you knows and the ums, enunciating every word, and doing my best to be that fearless Uber driver of peace of mind, goodwill, and kind of pointing you back in the direction of your inner resilience, that all of you have this innate resilience within you. All of you. I don't care if you're living in a Shack-Tone Shack mansion in Beverly Hills. I'm going to steal that Talking Heads lyric every single podcast just to remind you who you are and that you have this special place, this space before thought, that quiet place when you drop out of your thinking and you are right here with me, right here, right now, the Fearless Now. And before we begin our episode, I want you to really think about how your life has been positively impacted by this podcast, or maybe you're a first-time listener and you're really enjoying it for the first time. The way you can support me, the way you can support the Fearless Now is so simple. And I would love to hear more about what you like, what you love about this podcast. But the first thing you can do is to support this podcast. And the easiest thing you can do is literally buy me a cup of coffee. I know that sounds weird, but you can buy me a cup of coffee. And the way you do that, and I'm not asking you to send me lots of money. All you have to do is go to buymeacoffee.com/thefearlessnow. Buymeacoffee.com/thefearlessnow. So the way you can support me to support this podcast that is there for all of you, you in the nosebleed seats, is go to buymeacoffee.com/thefearlessnow. Buymeacoffee.com/thefearlessnow. And that's all you got to do. It's so simple. And for the price of a cup of coffee, holy cow, you get some real, fresh wisdom, knowledge. You might smile, you might cry, you might laugh, you may just take your computer or throw it against the wall. Nah, don't throw your computer against the wall. This podcast is for all of you, for you, the nosebleed seats, and every dollar counts. It costs me money to edit and to produce these podcast episodes, so they sound good for you, so you really get the message. And this podcast is just for all of you, so you just have a better daily life, a better feeling during your day, so you can see who you really are without doing anything, without modalities, without techniques. You just dropping into the Fearless Now right now. Again, for the last time, so I'm not in an OCD loop. I just want to remind you, go to buymeacoffee.com/thefearlessnow. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, everybody. So let's get back to episode number 42. And I usually don't prepare that much before each episode. I jot down a couple of notes. And earlier today, I was just kind of mind wandering in between clients and usually either call my mother or talk to my beloved girlfriend who is on the East Coast right now. And I found these live cams on YouTube. You can access live cams anywhere in the world. It's amazing. Technology is absolutely amazing, right? It blows my mind. And I was looking at a live cam of different cities around the world. And the first cam that came on my computer screen was this hammock connected to two palm trees. And the palm trees were overlooking this tranquil, sparkling aquamarine water. It was just my version of external paradise. If I could pick a place to live for the rest of my life, it would be a cabin or a tiny little house in a tropical beach somewhere with unlimited sunshine, unlimited surf, my beloved girlfriend, friends and family next to me. That would be like Shangri-La for me. So I'm staring at this live cam. I think it was in Hadron Beach near Koh Samui in Thailand. And I just kind of got really quiet, just looking at this gorgeous beach. And then I flipped the channel on YouTube and I went to Tel Aviv. I went to Dizengoff Street in very busy Tel Aviv. And I looked at all the people crossing the street and the cars whirring by and the hustle and bustle of modern Tel Aviv and Israel. And then I switched the channel again. And I was at Alexanderplatz in Berlin at dusk. And I was just looking at the world from my MacBook computer. Quiet, thinking slowed down, not much activity going on between my ears at that moment. Not trying to figure out stuff or worrying about what I have to do next or what's going to come up in a future client or how am I going to pay these bills or what's it going to be like to travel during Thanksgiving during this pandemic that's ongoing or anything. My mind was just quiet. I was Sam in the present moment. I was both feet planted on the ground, looking at these amazing places. The inner narrator was quiet, or quieter. It's always there, right? Now imagine a world without the narrator telling us what is what. Like, imagine that you didn't have this constant head chatter going on, narrating every second of your life, predicting the future, creating future scenarios, judging people, places, things, the whole lot. Imagine if it was just you staring into the ethers, or in my case, looking at Koh Samui, some gorgeous beach that I've always wanted to visit. Imagine the narrator just not being there. You're looking at it without judgment, the beach, or the city, or other people, or traffic, or a cancer diagnosis, or a financial crisis, or an accident, or the death of a loved one. I can go on and on. Imagine seeing your outside life without the constant head chatter, without that narrator scripting and creating and producing and creating meaning around and contextualizing every single moment of your life. Imagine if that was non-existent. You would have no judgment of your outside world. It wouldn't matter. Nothing would be a big deal. Your anxiety, your depression, your phobias, your ADHD, your Asperger's, your fill in the blank. None of it would be a big deal. None of it would have any story around it. It would just be peaceful. It would be neutral. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs out there, and birds, and every other species out there, you can have that quiet and viewing your world without judgment, the people and the places and the things without judgment, even if the head chatter is just blowing you out of the fucking water. Excuse my French, even though I don't speak French. You have a super brain. You have a sniper mind. You have this thing called still power that's pointing you back to that quiet every single day, every minute, every hour, every second of your life. You just don't pay attention to it enough. You could have that Koh Samui beach. You could have Dizengoff Street. You could have whatever you want and hold no judgment or have no real created story around those places. You could just see the beauty in them. See how amazing it is to be alive, right? Now, in a perfect world, in a perfect existence, we would all choose that box, check off the quiet mind box. But you have a brain that loves you, that creates story, that analyzes, that predicts, that makes assumptions and judgments for you in a split second, and it's all innocent. The thing behind the story is if you make it not a big deal, if you don't fall into the story and you just observe the story, it has no grip on you. Even a heart attack, a cancer diagnosis, a panic attack, a car exploding. Again, your experience is your experience. It's up to you what you want to do with that buffet of thought and thinking around that experience. And there's nothing wrong with being scared and being upset and being angry and being frustrated and being judgmental and criticizing, as long as you don't open your mouth or you don't take action on those different things that get us in trouble sometimes. Am I right? And that's having judgment for others, even if they've done us wrong. And that's hard. I mean, it's in every religious text. It's in every spiritual manual from the Est movement on. It's all there. It's all there for you to read. And it seems otherworldly, but it's actually all on offer. It's all there. It's random access right there for you. But all of us, including your priest, your rabbi, the president of the United States, the person you look up to in your life, your mentor, they all get caught up. We all get caught up in the machinery and we lose the plot sometimes. We forget who we are. And it's normal. If you don't forget who you are, then there's something wrong because we have this perfectly imperfect supercomputer that's informing us of this world. But once we see that the brain kind of sometimes gets in the way of that intelligence behind the wizard pulling the strings, well, the brain that thinks it's the wizard pulling the strings, the guy behind the guy, there is something else. There is something much, much, much bigger, billions and billions and billions of times bigger that makes us all the connective link together. It's called presence. It's called seeing beyond your tiny little simple laptop computer of our mind. And this is where I bridge my opening soliloquy or whatever the hell you want to call it. And in talking about our brain supercomputer, we all have different neurotypes. And human beings have compartmentalized these neurotypes. So the neurotypicals and then the neurodiverse. And I really think that we need to take a good look at that because I think the more we see that we're more typically untypical. Is that a word? Untypical? No, it's not even a word. We're atypically typical. I think that's the better one. We're not untypical. That makes absolutely no sense. That we have standards and labels that we put on people that maybe are not the, whatever it means, the quote unquote neurotypicals. And I am not a neurotypical person for better or for worse. I fall into the neurodiverse crowd. If we're going to label it as neurodiverse, which is, to be honest with you, a lot of us are walking around this planet, a lot of times for worse, sometimes for better, that, we are kind of, our brains are synapsing at a rate that's a little bit different than the average person. Doesn't mean we're better. It's just different. And we're beating to our own drum. And sometimes society is not prepared for folks like us that are beating at a different drum. And it's not better. It's not worse. It is what it is. But when you think about it, our society hasn't really changed, but human beings have evolved and we're still stuck. And listen, I don't want to get caught up in all of that because it's all made up as it is. So I want to share with you kind of what I experienced as a neurodiverse kid, not even knowing what neurodiversity is among us neurotribes. And as a kid that was diagnosed with quote unquote ADHD, one of the features, I wouldn't call it a benefit at all, is that I get lost a lot. I get lost in parking lots. I lose my keys a lot. And there's nothing wrong with me. That's just how my brain works. Some things work really great and some things really suck, just like all of us. And when I was a kid, especially when I started driving, before we had GPS and all the modern technology we have to get around the world in our cars, I would get lost all the time. My friends would get frustrated with me. I mean, it was the disaster. I mean, I love driving and I still love driving, even though sometimes I have a panic attack driving on the freeway. The 405 is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. And my friends would get frustrated with me. I was 16, 17, all the time. They'd yell at me, call me a space cadet. I wasn't paying attention. I was always getting lost. And they legitimately had a reason to be frustrated. And I was really upset about it. I felt defective, that my friends didn't understand me, that my school didn't understand me, that society didn't understand me, because I had such strengths in one area and such deficiencies in other areas, or the labels, the made up labels that were put upon me. Again, I don't want a pity party. It is what it is. We all have our pros and cons, right? But one day I stopped taking it personally. What I saw was, and what a lot of us see when we get quiet, we all get quiet. We all see that space of calm where judgment, criticism, finger pointing, frustration, anger don't exist. It's that space before thought. It's that liminal space that we all experience. What I saw is that my friends innocently had on board a whole bunch of judgmental thinking about how I work, how my brain works. They saw that, yeah, Sam gets lost. But what they didn't see at the time, what I saw, is that there could be a hard stop after Sam gets lost. And we're all kids. We're 16, 17, 18 years old. We're kids. We're children. We act like kids. We got puppy dog brains. It's innocent, just like in adults. What I saw is it had nothing to do with me at all. It was their frustration, not my frustration. I was frustrated because I didn't understand it. I felt scrutinized and made to feel less than. And when I stopped beating myself up, I really saw what it was all about. It wasn't about me getting lost a lot and kind of not seeing where I was sometimes and just, it is what it is. But it had nothing to do with me. It was their relationship, my friend's relationship with thinking about their judgment, their lack of patience. And that was their experience. And that was okay. Not my experience, not my family's experience. And yeah, it did hurt. But you know what? Once I saw that, I stopped taking it personally. I saw that acceptance for myself with all my foibles and about things that I had no control over was about me seeing beyond the criticism and the judgment and being made fun of about things that were not my fault. It's just how my brain worked. And then I could move on with that experience with grace. And I could see my inner resilience and the right people that saw me for me, not for me getting lost and forgetting things and being late and getting overwhelmed easily and being really sensitive and all those things that come with this neurodiverse ADHD brain, that I have this innate North Star within me that is always pointing to my well-being, regardless of my inability to find my keys or the inability to figure out where my car is in the parking lot or how to get to point A or B. And again, this is before GPS, that's okay, that I could practice, that I could learn these routes. I could memorize the routes to school and routes to friends' houses and write these directions down and just be more cognizant of it. But it didn't mean I needed to change who I am. And it didn't mean that I needed to not be friends with these people anymore and get offended because they were acting like jackasses towards me. Again, that's their experience. That's how they are viewing me because they have a whole bunch of thinking on board that has nothing to do with me. And that was really liberating. I didn't need to struggle with how they felt about me. That this human experience is a massive miracle. And when I really saw that, it changed everything for me. And so I didn't sweat the small stuff as much anymore. And when I got lost, I got lost. And if someone lost patience with me, tough shit. They lost patience with me. And if they didn't want to be friends with me because I would get lost all the time, well, you know what? You find your tribe. You find other people that get lost and we find our way together, right? Lost people find their way and we could start a union, losing your keys union, and we can all find our way together. That once I saw that like this massive miracle called life, that I don't need to struggle, that once I continue to point in the direction of my well-being, of who I really am, that my inner wisdom within me would point back or point to people that want to be around me despite my foibles or frailties that had nothing to do with my ability to get around a parking lot or figure out how to get to Miami or LA or wherever it was, where I was at the time. That there's a whole world beyond thought. And sometimes we forget and we get angry, we get frustrated, and then we settle again. We settle, we drop out of the story. And then we feel blessed again. We feel blessed to be in this form, in this human existence, in this story, and in this time. That there will never be another Sam like there'll never be another you. That there'll never be another time just like this fearless moment like right now. Because the truth, my friends, is in all of you. This is not some sanctimonious pseudo-spiritual bullshit. That's truth. That's a truth, a spiritual truth. And it's in all of you. Our brain is the most brilliant tool. It really is. And it's not fucking perfect. It glitches just like your laptop computer, like your iOS or your Android device. Sometimes it acts like Google Translate and it mistranslates things. It's going to make mistakes. It just wants to keep you safe, but it's going to do what it's going to do to keep you safe. And it thinks that thought's going to keep you safe. So when you see that it's not a big deal. You don't allow it to get to you. You make peace with your thinking. You make peace with your overwhelmed thought. You make peace with your frustrations. You make peace with your ADHD. You make peace with your anxiety. And then you learn how to use the equipment right. It's a technology, the technology of thought and thinking. And once we see that we have been misusing the equipment and we are going to misuse the equipment again, it makes it okay, because then we come back, we settle in, we get back in the saddle, and then we stop being scared of making mistakes. We stop being scared of being anxious and being overwhelmed and getting lost in parking lots, because it's all made up. All of it, 100% of it is made up. What is true is the quiet. What is true is the well-being. What is true is the unconditional love that all of you have within you, not only for yourself, but for your fellow human beings. Because just like gravity and just like the sun coming up every day, thinking and thought settles, moves through you, and then you're on to new thought and thinking. And as long as you don't create meaning around the dark thought and thinking and think that's truth, even though we forget sometimes, it's going to be okay. It really is. And what is behind that never-ending made-up story is your essential nature, is who you are. And it's so liberating, my friends. So for all you neurotypicals and all you neurodiverse people, we're all in the same club. We really are. And if someone's an asshole towards you, if you slip up and you forget who you are and you get caught up in your own judgment about them and getting offended by them and you call them an asshole, okay, so be it. And then you settle again. And then you have compassion for them. And then you really see what's up. You don't have to hang out with people that judge and criticize you, but you also can have compassion for them, and you also could see what is really behind the scenes. It's not who they are. They're caught up in their own conditioning, like I'm caught up in my conditioning sometimes. But the beauty in it is not creating meaning around our darkness, that we're much bigger than that. All of you are. Hope this helps everybody. It's so good to be here. Remember, I am here for all of you, for you, and you in the Newsblade seats. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and also buy me a cup of coffee. It's so weird saying that. I'm going to say that every episode. But go ahead and buy me a cup of coffee. It's buymeacupofcoffee.com/thefearlessnow. And I will see you again for another episode. And thanks again.